Remember the concept of blowback. I told you that there's the deliberate withholding of information about foreign operations overseas so that when retaliation occurs, the public is unable to process this information in any type of context, so they can be absolutely 100% misled into believing that the attackers hate us, and that's the root cause of the attack, when that's never the case. So in the same sense, it's the withholding of information within the monetary system that causes people to believe such ludicrous statements made by our leaders like, this is the best system, monetary system that we can offer you, and there's nothing better. And when people don't understand the truth because it's been withheld from them, then you also have blowback within the financial system, monetary system, when people will support statements and support behavior that's absolutely detrimental to their financial well-being. And they can be conned into doing that time and time and time again. This is what the dumbing down society in all aspects of our life has achieved. It has basically totally shifted and turned reality upside down. So what is up is now down, and what is down is now up. The people basically need to restore a better paradigm, for living, and better paradigm for thinking. Because what the powers that be have achieved is presenting an illusion of reality to you. So they want to present an illusion of choice when you have no choice, and they want to present the illusion that you have no choice when you really do have a choice. Politics is a great illuminator of this concept. If you look at the two-party system in America, Democrats and Republicans. Democrats and Republicans in public always bicker, while behind closed doors they're shaking hands and making deals. So they want basically the political machinery in America wants to present to you like you actually have a choice. That Barack Obama would be really that different than John McCain, or Bush would be that different than Kerry. But if you look at the past 22 plus years, the fiscal policy is never, the banking policy, monetary policy has never changed under any of these presidents. So that's what we need to look at. We need to look at the money trails to understand what is driving the behavior of these presidents. Who funded these politicians? Where is the financial backing coming from? It's ludicrous to think that a corporation is just going to donate, like Goldman Sachs is going to donate millions and millions of dollars to Barack Obama's presidential election campaign and not expect favors in return. That's just very naive to believe that. So if we look at who's funding these people, we can understand there really is no difference. It's just an illusion. And come 2012, when I expect the second phase of this monetary system to be in full gear, so it's likely that Barack Obama will be a one-term president, and then a Republican will be elected. I'm telling you, it will make no difference. Even if it's a miracle and he's reelected, it won't matter. It's not going to change anything if you understand how the political system works, because there is no choice that is given to you. There is no choice. But that does not mean that we do not have a choice and that we do not have empowerment over our own lives. In 2007, before Barack Obama even won the Democratic nomination for the presidential election in 2008, he was endorsed by Zbigniew Brzezinski. So all you gotta do is Google Zbigniew Brzezinski, and I'll basically put his name in the description of the video down there, so you know how his name is spelled. And Google the search, and then you understand more about how Barack Obama came out of basically nowhere. No American probably even heard of his name in 2006. A couple of years later, he was our president. And here's another link, again in the video description below, to Henry Kissinger. And listen to what he says about what is a wonderful opportunity for Barack Obama, once he gets elected president, to further the New World Order. Be careful, because there are a lot of wolves, not only in politics, but again, in religion, in academia, There's a lot of wolves in sheep's clothing, and if you're asleep, you won't recognize that. Now, when I talk about illusions, let's talk about the illusion of no choice that the powers of be want you to believe about the monetary system. Remember how I said at the beginning of this video that great change and positive change always comes at the hand of individuals. So how basically individuals, and the concept I talk about in the Golden Gift, how they can achieve economic freedom is basically to remove themselves from the power of governments. So why can't individuals start their own independent country? Why can't individuals start their own monetary system outside of governments, right? If they basically purchase, say, a sovereign island, then how can they have any government come to them and say that they can't do something? All it takes is courage. It takes courage, it takes knowledge and understanding how the system works, and a belief that you can come up with your own system that is far better than the system that is opposed upon us. We do not have to accept the system. So if you can understand that, then there are solutions. It's just a matter of having to be proactive versus waiting for a solution from a government or from bankers that will never come. Again, the whole purpose of this video is just to remind you, you have to be able to critically think for yourself and not to just accept what authorities tell you to believe blindly. And likewise, I just want to raise a couple more points. I've traveled all over the world, and I've seen, no matter what country I've been in, how loyal people are to their country. To me, that makes absolutely zero sense whatsoever, because it's just a matter of chance. It's just a matter of where your parents happen to be when you were born. So why should you have allegiance to your country? Now, there are Americans, say, if they're born in Iran, that say, oh, I never will hold allegiance to Iran. But that's crazy, because I'm sure if the situation was flipped and you grew up in Iran, even though you're American, was born over there, you would have allegiances to Iran. So rather than have allegiance to a country, which is just a totally random concept that governments, again, that state-sponsored governments want to impose upon you, you should have allegiance to a morality code. You should have allegiance to truth. You should have allegiance to justice, but never allegiance to a country. You shouldn't blindly follow any leader. That just makes zero sense whatsoever. Just as I believe that blindly supporting anyone that's the same race or skin color as you makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. So, I certainly have seen that with Barack Obama, how many black people are so happy that we finally have a black president. But rather than just being blindly loyal to someone because of their skin color, which again, I think is a ludicrous concept, you need to understand, follow the money trail. See who is supporting him, who is backing him, before you make any critical decisions on your own. And before you make up your mind about whether or not to support this person. Not only should you do that, but look at whether his words are congruent with his actions. So if everything he said during his political campaigning is not being fulfilled by his actions, then that should be another red flag and should show you where your allegiance should be. Because people that I certainly on my blog, whenever I criticize Obama, they accuse me of being a racist, which is just the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Just because they look at my face, they see I'm Korean, and they say, oh, he must not like blacks, which is just a stupid conclusion. So I don't care if Barack was green, red, yellow, brown, pink. I'll still be critical of his monetary policy no matter what, because I'm criticizing his policy. And never once have I criticized his skin color. I don't care if the next president of America was Korean American. I can even tell you right now, if he's elected under the same system, because I understand how the political system operates, I understand that no one will ever be elected to that kind of position of power unless they serve the people that control the system. I will not trust them. I would not trust that person even if he's Korean American. I wouldn't be that foolish and that naive just because I'm Korean American to say, oh, thank God we have a Korean American president. That's the greatest thing ever. That's just being stupid. Okay, as I conclude this video, I just want to leave you with one more example, though people might think it's kind of a silly example. I think it's still pertinent to the, my whole basis of making this video, which is to try to get people to see that they don't think enough for themselves and allow themselves to be ordered what to believe and what to think. A couple of years ago, there was this movie. Actually, I'm not sure if it was 1 year ago or 2 years ago. There's a movie called The Fourth Kind, which starred actor Mila Jovovich. And that movie was supposedly about real-life disappearances in Nome, Alaska that happened years back, and that was explained as alien abductions. Now, to hype this movie up, Universal Studios said that there's actual real footage of psychiatric evaluations in this movie, and that they interspliced documentary footage with reenactments of the scenes. Although it was an absolute blatant lie, and that it was real footage because everyone was just actors. Apparently, the notion that there was real footage spread virally, and thousands of people actually believed that was real footage, especially since the documentary portion of the so-called documentary portion of the movie was filmed with a handheld camera to give it, more of that raw believability factor. So if you look at, again, the link here I'll provide in the video description below, you can just go to YouTube and see the arguments between people, and granted they're probably teenagers, but it would not surprise me if there are adults on there too arguing that that footage was real, when it's as easy as going to IMDb, which is a Hollywood movie site, and basically discovering that there was an actor that played the psychiatrist, and they don't have the same name, so obviously it's not a real person. So the reason I'm also saying this is that in 1938 in America, there was a fictional broadcast on the radio of a documentary-style account of H.G. Wells' science fiction book, War of the Worlds, where it was said that a so-called meteor that landed in New York was actually a metallic cylinder that contained death rays, poisonous gas, and aliens. And when that was announced, for the people that missed the beginning of the show, it said it was a fictional account, not actually a news documentary. It caused thousands of people in New York to panic, and hundreds of people to run through the streets in absolute panic, thinking that they're going to be killed by aliens. And in fact, the broadcast even managed to cause panic in Canada, where people in Toronto called the police and wanted to know if they should evacuate. So the point of this whole story is that, just like Joseph Goebbels said, who was the minister of propaganda for Hitler during Nazi Germany, if you tell a big lie often enough, that it will become the truth. And it doesn't even have to be that big of a lie. If you just tell the same propaganda over and over and over again, it has been proven throughout history that people are like sheep. And as long as it comes from a so-called authoritative source, that people will believe it.